Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Now if you've been watching the last couple of videos, you know we did a little bit more painting in the living room, and today we hope to finish that off. What we did in our last video is we got 2 coats on the walls with the rollers of the primary color. It's starting to dry off real well now, and it's looking really good. And so today what we want to do is we want to finish this up. We're going to paint the crown molding. We're going to paint the frames around the windows and around the door and the baseboards, and hopefully get this whole room put back together, get the paper up, and get to the point where we can start enjoying this room again. So let's get going. Now I've decided that the crown molding, the baseboards, and the frame around the door are going to be the same blue that we've been using in the hallway here and is going around the room on this side. So we're ultimately going to tie this all together. But right now, that's what's going to be done today. We're also going to do the baseboards that color. But we have these frames around the window, and I've decided that I don't want to have those the dark blue. So I'm going to make them the same color as the brickwork and the ceiling. That's going to be the white. So we're going to do that separately, and we're going to hit that before we begin diving into the crown molding and baseboards. Now one of the things I noticed when I was looking at these is that some of the paint here was a little bit chipped in here. On this window here, so I actually got in here with a chisel and kind of smoothed this all out, and that'll give us a nice smooth coating, and then we can go and roll in the rest of that and make it look good. The other window actually looked pretty decent, so I didn't have to do anything with that one, but just letting you know about some of the prep work that you sometimes have to do. You got to keep an eye on those kinds of things, because if you get paint chips in there and the paint is loose, then you paint on top of it and that's just going to come up too. So you want to basically get everything off that's loose so that you got something to stick to. And it may not be perfectly smooth, but it at least won't be peeling up very, very quickly. Now there are parts of this I'm going to have to do with a brush, but fortunately I think what I can do is I got this cute little roller down here on the ground. It's a little smaller than the ones I usually use. And that should actually do pretty quick work for these windows. So we're going to get as much of that done as we can with a roller, and then we'll touch in the rest of it with a brush. Alright, so I made a couple passes around the frame of the window. I think they look a lot better on both sides. Like I said, I was able to hit the outside edges and the inside edges here with a roller, but then I had to kind of go around and touch it up with a brush. But I think those look good. I also forgot I had to kind of hit this area up here, this little trim work right on here, because I overlapped a little bit on that with the when I hit it with a roller. So I did a couple passes on that. I also kind of got a little bit of blue paint on the underside here, and I kind of want that to match the roof in this section. So got that covered up a little pretty good. So we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and we're going to move on to the baseboards and the crown molding. Alright, some time has gone by now. I got the first coat on the crown molding and baseboards and trim all the way around the door. I actually got a better coating than I usually do when doing this, so it shouldn't require as much touch-up as I normally have to do. I got to still do a little cleaning up, especially right here on the bricks where I got a little bit of, you know, when you're using masking tape and you don't exactly have the smoothest surface to go on, you know, sometimes you get a little bit of bleed through. But other than that, I think it looks really good. Like I said, we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry, and I think while we're letting this dry, I'm going to put the room back together, because everything else is pretty much ready to go back together. I just got to avoid the trim and the baseboards, and that's pretty easy. I can put the blinds back on. I can put the switch plates on the switches and electrical outlets. I can you know, put the mantle back on the wall and stuff like that, and that'll give everything time to dry off, and then we can kind of go and look where we need to do a little bit more touch up. So that's the next step. Alright, so I just put the blinds back in the window and actually discovered something interesting. You'd think that these 2 windows here were designed to be, you know, they were designed the same and they should be the same size, but it turns out they aren't. I tried putting this blind into that window when I put it back in, and it wouldn't fit. And I started thinking, that's kind of weird. And yeah, it turns out this window here is about 1/4 of an inch wider than the other one. Just another example of how this house is kind of odd. So live and learn. All right, so I've done a second coat of paint on the crown molding and on the baseboards. I got to do a little bit of touch up. It's just some cleanup work now. And that just kind of goes on over the next few days. But we got stuff back up on the walls, got basically everything put back together now. Got the cover back on the fireplace. And now I'm just gonna reassemble everything, put the stuff back on the shelves here. And I think before we button it all up, since I got all the furniture moved off the floor here and kind of over to one side here or the other, what I'm going to do, I think, is do a real thorough cleaning of the floor, because haven't really done that since I moved in. And since I got everything all away here, it makes sense to do it. So that's what's coming next. All right, so I got the room pretty much put back together. Everything's back on the shelves. All the furniture is back in place. I got to clean a little junk off the tables a little bit, but that will happen over the next few days or so. So I think that is all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.